But what I do want to talk about, is this Conservative MP. It's the MP for Bury South who defected. A guy called Christian something or other. Let me just have a look what his name was. I should probably have researched the name of this guy again before. There we go. A guy called Christian Wakeford MP. It was voted in for the Conservatives for Bury South, and now he's walked across the aisle. He's defected to the Labour Party, and it just tells you, right? It tells you that the position that the Labour Party are in at the moment, policy-wise, that any Tory would feel happy being among their ranks. And you've got all of the fucking, like, Labour liberals, like the Liberal members of the Labour Party, moment going, oh, soy, oh, look at this, oh, soy, we've got a new MP, oh, look how badly the Tories are doing. Like, if you're in the position as a Labour Party member, if you're in a position where you feel like you're happy that a Conservative member of Parliament feels happy moving across the aisle to the Labour Party, then that just shows you what a fucking state the Labour Party is in right now with regards to the policies that it should be pushing. The Conservative MP who was anti-Palestine, who was pro, police and crime bill, all that kind of malarkey, who's got a fucking dreadful voting record, feels happy to be part of your party at this point. It just stands to reason when you got, like, anti-benefit, anti-working class Rachel Reeves as the Shadow Chancellor, that this fucker Christian Wakeford MP feels happy to be in the same party as you. I mean, as I said, I've got a whole video with my chat with Chad yesterday on my channel if you want to watch it, Malik. But essentially my point is that I feel like, as to appreciate, I feel like any kind of political change for working people is going to come from the trade union movement. And as long as you have the Labour Party in power, they can't pass any anti-union legislation in Parliament, whereas the Conservatives will, because they can't risk losing any funding, especially now they've got no fucking members left. So it's worth voting Labour just for that reason, just to make sure that you can still do your trade union action. And that's where the actual political change is going to come from. So like that's my kind of take on that, because every other policy that they would impart would just be very similar to the Conservatives. But in the specific trade union issue, that's where I think my kind of pragmatism brain goes in. But I can understand other people's point of views. Like this guy voted for universal credit. See, look, this is my excellent tweet of Labour Party members sawing over him, which I think you'll all agree is very amusing and incredibly apt considering the situation, right? So that's the state of the Labour Party right now. And true, like Aaron Bastani is absolutely correct. This should be a by-election. It absolutely should be a by-election. If the people of Bury South voted for this MP to be a Conservative, then his defection should trigger a by-election. And I would say exactly the same when it's the other way around. Like apparently this is a part of this socialist party, which Keir Starmer said. Keir Starmer had said in his last Keir Starmer said in his little fucking speech that he would call himself a socialist, right? How in a socialist party could you have this guy but not fucking Jeremy Corbyn? Well, absolutely. I hate having to bang on about Corbyn because I'm not a fucking Corbynite or whatever. I'm just a socialist who understood the things that Jeremy Corbyn wanted to do as the leader of the Labour Party, right? I understood that. I think he was. He's iffy with regards to some issues, whatever, like foreign policy things outside of Israel, Palestine. Like have some iffy things with his optics and his foreign policy issues, right? Whatever, things like that. But at least I understood the kind of platform that he stood for and the things he wanted to achieve as Labour leader. But at least I understood that. The fact that he's not allowed in the party, but this fucker is, that's a damning indictment on the state of the Labour Party right now. Yeah, absolutely. All the fucking Change UK political guns for hire. Fuck them. Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. I don't know anything about that, but it's probably just because George Galloway is very cringe. Absolutely crazy. I mean, there was a someone put the thread in as a reply to this. Where was it now? Labour MP fascist welcome, love it. Whereas let me find Labour Bury South. They had something to say about it. Bury South Labour Party. Let's go. Oh, sorry, that's GMP Bury South. Don't want that shit. Come on, mouse. There we go. Christian Wakeford himself co-sponsored a bill mandating by-elections for MPs who change party affiliation. What the fuck? Oh god, I shouldn't. I don't know why I expect anything less from an MP, let alone an ex-Conservative MP. I say ex. He's basically still a Tory MP at this point. I wouldn't think of him as being anything else. Let me have a look. What the Bury South even have to say about this? Remember them tweeting about it. They've only tweeted once about it. Oh, they tweeted about him just then. Interesting. They've not even tweeted about it here. Was it a Young Labour Bury South? Yeah, I'm streaming YouTube and Facebook as well, Alec. That's the one, yeah. North West Young Labour. Activists in Bury South campaigned day and night for Lucy Burke, Manchester, who would have been an exceptional MP. To bring someone with a voting record of Christian Wakeford into our party, a decision that flies in the face of values held by our members. True! 100% true. Absolutely 100% true. There's Bury South Young Labour as well here. As the youth officer of Bury South CLP, let me say this: Lucy Burke should be the Labour MP for Bury South right now. I'll always stick to that. She is the most caring, fearless, and determined person I know. She would have been an amazing MP. There was some fucking mess that happened with regards to the candidacy at that point, where someone was caught up in a scandal or something like that. I don't even know. Some dumb shit. But like, literally, this is the point we're at, right? I don't think there's a big chance of there being any kind of further Tory party splits moving forward. Demand Better Canada, like, they are one of the parties who've been known to fall into rank and fall in line very, very easily and quickly. Like, it was only really in like a post-Brexit world we've really had any kind of intra-party kind of loggerheads happening. Like Brexit and COVID are kind of the big things that have caused like inner party squabbles amongst the Tories. So I don't really see it moving forward, but I guess it depends how long Boris Johnson sticks around for, but you never know. It just beggars belief. Also, Michael Walker from Novara Media, he's been defending this shit, saying, "Oh, well, you have to appeal to Tory party members, so having a Tory party candidate in your party is a good thing." And I'm like, I'm gonna commit Minecraft. I'm gonna go and Roblox myself right now, like satirically. Fucking hell! Like, even if someone from Novara Media is defending just like the open arm welcoming. Hey, thank you for the follow, Gengaho. Like the open-armed welcoming of a Tory with his fucking ridiculous voting record into Labour Party. Then where the fuck even are we at the moment? It's a shame because I really like Michael Walker usually, but he's had a bunch of fucking iffy takes right now, recently. You have to wonder where the UK is going, particularly with how COVID is being dealt with. Some of the early outcomes of breakfast and energy crisis. Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of the fucking energy crisis, Keir Starmer coming out and saying, "Oh, I don't really believe in nationalisation of the energy." I'm like, literally, we're seeing market failure in front of our eyes, and the quote-unquote socialist, in incredibly inverted commas, who's supposed to be the leader of the party, saying things like, "Oh, I don't believe in nationalising the energy." Like, the market has failed. The market has just failed on with regards to this issue. We have to demarketize it to be able to make sure that the rising prices wouldn't affect the most you know, vulnerable people in society. We're going to have their cost of living increased even further, not just because of inflation, but also the rising bills elsewhere too. And considering the rising bills for rent that continues going up as house prices soar, because that's the only people in the fucking Tory voting booms even care about at this point, is making sure the value of the house is as high as possible. And for Keir Starmer to go on national TV, considering he had a pledge for common ownership, what's going to have a fucking energy co-op sector, then go and say, well, oh, even at these times, we don't really believe in nationalisation. We're just going to remove some tax and then maybe things will get better. And it's like, this has been rising consistently for years and years. What a fucking waste of space. Hey, no worries, Ash. It's cool. I appreciate the follow regardless. That's much appreciated. But yeah, what an absolute state of a leader of the Labour Party Keir Starmer is at this point. Like, what's the fucking point? It just beggars belief at this point to have a look at the state of the Labour Party right now. And also with Starmer in that same interview saying that he wouldn't legalise weed either, considering it's not even a really popular policy proposal anyway. Like, lots of people want to see weed legalised. But also just, he was just saying some bullshit about how, oh no, well, just the problem is we need to deal with the crime that's inherent with, you know, the cannabis that happens currently. I'm like, it happens because it's fucking illegal. If it was legalised and regulated and taxed, there would be no need for the gangs to peddle, you know, the weed that has at the moment. The underground market that exists for drugs is specifically down road of the illegalisation and the criminalisation of possession and sale. Like, it doesn't take a fucking genius to work out that all of these illegal gangs wouldn't exist if you legalised it. Like, again, it's very, very clear to me. It's very clear to me that as a position, just Starmer's just trying to be like, I'm just trying to optically put himself forward as not being a lefty, and trying to just make himself the anti-Corbyn rather than actually looking at pragmatic policy proposals that will be good for members of this country and will also be good optically to be able to have a counter-narrative to what the Conservatives are pushing. Because at the end of the day, right, people keep saying, oh, we need to appeal to Tory voters. I mean, there's so many people out there who don't vote. That was the great thing about Jeremy Corbyn. For all of his faults, at least he brought in people from outside of the regular electorate to get involved in politics, like people like young people who wouldn't otherwise vote because they saw someone with a vision, someone with a different future in mind, someone with substantive changes to the system that exists at the moment that's clearly failed. So many people, especially young people right now. And for Starmer to just come back and say, oh, we can keep doing neoliberalism, we can keep the stabiliser of neoliberalism on, but just do less of it. As if that does anything other than lend credence to the idea that neoliberalism is good in the first place. It just lends credence to Conservative Party policy as it is already. Yeah, exactly. It's just a complete lack of understanding on the drug issue. It's almost like he hasn't even bothered thinking about what he wants to do. And just all he's done is gone, well, this is what all my focus groups said. This is what my policy is going to be. It's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. And this fucking MP just being welcomed with open arms without even criticising the things that have happened on his watch because the things that he voted for. It's just it is the perfect way of putting into sharp focus the state of Labour Party as it is currently. What a joke.